Hi, it's the Jennie and Larry Show from the Running Network. We're talking about day 5 of the greatest track meet in the world. Yes, I say the greatest track meet in the world, the 2012 U.S. Olympic Trials, because there'll be highs and lows in London, but there are people we're leaving back here that can field teams in about 150 countries. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about this today, Jennie.
Well, the field events are pretty interesting here because, unlike a lot of tracks, the field events are all in the middle, in the infield, so you can see them. You can watch them. In fact, at one point we were watching the pole vault, the discus, a javelin throw, a shot put, and I think a 5K race all at the same time.
It's a 3-ring circus. I mean, that's the beauty of track and field. That's also the difficulty with it. The reason why we don't have more fans is because TV producers don't get track and field. They're getting it in some ways, showing the excitement of the sport, but the truth is this could be at least one of the top 3 instead of right now being right around walleye fishing. But the yesterday was again an example of how great a day of track and field we can have. You want to start with the men's pole vault?
Let's do.
Well, the men's pole vault really was a story about the old guys around. The boys are back in town, as Thin Lizzy would say. Brad Walker won with the vault of 567, right at 18 feet 10 1/4 inches. We have Jeremy Scott and Scott Rush as number 2, number 3. But Walker's really the story. Former American record holder. I was wondering how he was going to do. He pulled it together, but it was those wily skills as a veteran. Years and years of competition that got him through the trials.
Now, I think a couple other people are actually going to London because of the standard issue.
But it's this lovely A standards again. A standards means 3 people can go. If no one gets the A standard, then the winner can go, or someone who's hit a B standard. We're lucky enough in the U.S. to have multiple people making the A standards. In the men's pole vault right now, there's some great young kids coming up. But we need a real push. We need someone really getting there. And we love Brad Walker. We love some of the veterans, but we need some of the younger guys to really take the next step.
On the men's pole, one of the most exciting events on day 5 was the men's discus throw. It came down to, as the stadium announcer said, the last throw of the competition.
Oh my gosh. Lance Brooks is, he's a big guy, great levers, dynamic thrower. He started out at 64, 13 meters. Then he went to 64, 14 meters. Then he went to 64, 44 meters. Then 2 fouls, 1 throw left. He had to get the A standard to go to London.
And that was 65.
65 meters, and he went 65, 15, or for us people who flunked the metric stuff, 215 feet and 7 inches. He is a discus deity. He went nuts. The crowd went nuts. Jared Rome, all the guys around him went nuts because, like all the events, the throwers get along with each other really well. They spend a lot of time doing it. Lance deserved it. He earned it the old-fashioned way. He worked his butt off. Probably, you know, a discus thrower, think about this. To be a great discus thrower, per John Powell, the oldest guy ever to win a world championship medal when he was 37, and my assistant throws coach back at Foothill in the old days, John would tell me you have to throw 30 to 40,000 spins a year. That's a lot of time in a discus cage, talking to yourself or listening to Cheap Trick on the side. So
I'm getting dizzy thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. But it's no different than running 120 miles a week. At your discipline, you've got to put the work in. And what you see here, and I wanted to make a point because we forget about this sometimes. Dave Frank, who's the coach at Central Catholic in Portland, Oregon, a great friend, Stanford graduate, I think an 838 steepler. Dave, if I screwed that up, I apologize. Maybe I gave you an extra second. He reminded me of something the other night when we were having an adult beverage. One of those things you have when you're over the age of 21, made in a small brewery. Anyway, what he said was, the athletes here are giving it their best. This is the best of the best. To make it into a final, to make it into the rounds, you're the top 98% of the top 1%, okay? We did a story on Shayla Houlihan the other day. This was it was her last steeple. She finished 11th out of 12th. John Google, one of our writers, wrote about her. But understand, give respect to the people who've spent the last 4, the last 8, the last 12 years looking for their day. And some of them make the team and most of them don't. But that's how they show respect to our sport, and that's how we should show respect to them. What Lance did, making the Olympic standard in a final, that's the coach's dream. It does not happen often, sports fans. That's what makes it so dramatic.
It was dramatic, but the story wasn't over yet. We had a men's steeple.
Oh my God.
And all the bets were off. What happened?
Wow. You know, okay, first I have to tell everybody, I live outside of Madison, Wisconsin. If a Badger's involved, I have the Badger rule. They get on the cover of American Track and Field. They're athletes only. You know, we worship them and all that kind of stuff. And Evan Yeager, been following him for a while. I'll see him at meets with his coach, Jerry Shoemaker, around the world. So this year, Coach Schumacher decides that Evan's going to do the steeple. In his first steeple at Mount Sac, he runs an 8:26.54, the American leader. Pretty impressive.
So he's just starting out on this event.
Just starting out. His final here was his 4th steeplechase. So in his 2nd steeplechase, he's at Occidental that did a great meet the weekend of May 19th. And he's going over the last water jump with Don Cabral and 3 other guys with him. And he decides to do something that he had not practiced. Kids, don't do this. Don't repeat this one. So Evan decided to try to hurdle the whole, well, he tried to jump off the pit. He clipped his shoe and did a 1.5 gainer right into the water, literally face first in. Somehow he got himself up, finished 3rd, ran his best by 6 seconds. Don Cabral went on to set the American collegiate record. Off to the side was his thoughtful coach, Jerry Schumacher, and his trainer, Pascal Daubert, fine steepler in his old day. Jerry's thoughtful words were something to the effect of the smile, "You idiot." So, needless to say, Evan did a little work on those barriers, and in the semi, he looked great, man. He went over that last. He was testing himself. He went over the last hurdle. He hurdles well. He went over the last water barrier, and he got 1 foot wet, which is, you know, the little Zen thing about the steeple, you know. So in the final, though, Evan's up front. You got Kyle Acorn. You got Don Cabral. You had Dan Hewling leading for a long time. Brian Olger left for a long time. But Yeager didn't make a bad move. With 600 to go, he tested, tried to make a little move off the water jump. Looked great. Cabral moved back in. But over that last lap, Evan knew this was his day. With about 300 to go, he took off. He hurdled, dynamo hum. He hurdled again. He went over that water jump perfectly and sprinted down. And as he came over the last hurdle, the tongue came out, he was wagging, he was smiling, and he runs 8:17. So 4 times in the steeple, 4 times PRs. That makes a coach proud. Jerry had to be very, very happy. Part of the Nike Oregon project. But Evan, mark my word, Evan will run 8:08 this year. This kid gets into a fast race. He needs a little more experience. He is going to rock and roll. And he could be scary in the final. Don Cabral, the young man from Princeton. Cabral's got the speed of a sub-4-minute miler. He can run a 10,000. In my mind, that's the kind of steepler you want. The 1980 Olympic champion was Bronislaw Malinowski. The Polish thrower ran 3:54 for the mile, 13:17 in a 5, 27:54 in a 10. Like our American Doug Brown, coming from the strength side, but having speed. The coach at Princeton, now he's got 4 kids under 4 minutes, a great little squad. But think about this, Cabral anchored the 1600 and a 1300 at Penn Relays. This kid's got wheels. His move over the last 150 should not be discounted. He ran 8:19.81. He's got some wheels on him. He reminds me of Henry Marsh, except Henry would do 40 miles a week, and Cabral, I know, has got to be doing, 85 or 90. But after a long college season, this kid is still running well. Very, very excited. And then Kyle Alcorn, one of my favorites, watched him for years. It's wonderful to see him make the team again. Has the A standard. The guys are going on. We have a nice steeple squad. I was literally begging Danny Lopez, the Adidas athlete and an Olympic team member back from, I think, 96 or 2000, to get out of retirement 2 months ago because I was so disappointed in the American steeple. But we've got some people looking good, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, it was fun watching that race because there were a lot of changes during it, and but that wasn't the exciting race.
Oh, my God.
It's really hard to know where to begin, but we have to start with the women's race because it was the first of the 2 5,000 finals.
5,000 meters is almost a perfect distance. It's 12.5 laps on a 400-meter track. It's the meeting place of the miler and the distance runner. It's more and more becoming a speed event. And to make this team here, first you had to have the A standard. There's 5 women with the A standard. Julia Culley from the New York Athletic Club, one of her teammates, Leslie Higgins, had told me this spring, watch Julia Culley. She had been coming up in championships. Julia Culley, people told us to watch. The one I was really watching was Molly Huddle, the American record holder. Molly's had some issues with plantar fascia, but she is the American record holder in the 5,000 meters. Last summer, Shalane Flanagan tried to break that American record 5 different times and came very close. It's a tough record. When you watch Molly run, she looks like she prances. She has this beautiful stride, reminds me of Gary Bjorklund, just technically all there. Ray Tracy, her coach, is up in Providence, knows his stuff. You can't find a better coach. I expected it to be her taking on the world, and that's what it was. In that pack was Julia Culley, Julia Lucas, Kim Conley, and Molly Huddle. Julia Lucas decided she was going to make the team, and Julia's been running well this year. She ran 15:08 earlier in the season. A couple good road races too.
Well under the A standard of 15:20.
Yes, well under the A standard. And so Julia took off after 800 and broke that race up, and it took them 6 laps to catch her. But when they did, it was Culley, Huddle, Conley, Lucas all there. With 200 to go, Huddle took off. The crowd went crazy, thinking the race was over. Au contraire. Julia Culley stayed with Huddle, and with about 80 to go, started pressing her. And it went like that for about 50 meters. Culley got out in front and won the 5,000 with Molly right behind her. But that wasn't even the exciting stuff. Julia Lucas, as someone who tried to steal the race, you watched over the last 50 meters. She wasn't up on her toes anymore. She was landing on her heels.
Kind of hobbling almost.
Yeah, barely making it. And out of the corner of our eye, we see 2 other women coming up. One of them was Kim Conley. And literally at the tape, almost as close as that women's 100-meter third place, comes Kim Conley to take third and get the A standard. It was an amazing race. Julia was in third. It's heartbreaking to see that, but that epitomizes what the Olympic trials are all about.
Kim Conley had what I would call a sprinter's lean to get that race. It was 4/100ths of a second.
What coaches teach you is the race is not over till you get across that damn finish line, and actually I always tell everybody to go 5 meters past it. Kim Conley learned that. She's on my pinball team. Julia Culley, wow, what a great race. She also said Julie really wanted to do something special and talked to Molly Huddle. Molly had been having some plantar fasciitis, but no excuses. I think she felt the pressure, but Coach Tracy kept her focused, kept her on the straight and narrow road, and she made the team. Kim Conley said one thing that I wanted to add in. Right before her race, Coach looked at her and said, do something historic.
She did.
She did. It was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing.
And not only that, I think they finished the race with 5 of the women under the A standard. So we have some depth there. Amazing.
And you know what?
And Abby, let's talk about Abby DiAgostino, who actually was 5th.
5th. Abby was very impressive. What a gutty race. I mean, she and Conley pushed it all the way up. Lucas was, my God, 10 meters with 100 to go, and she just moved in. I thought it was a beautiful race, and the crowd went crazy.
Let's talk about the grand finale.
Oh, my gosh. The final event of the night, the men's 5,000, was truly a work of middle distance running art. A week before, Galen Rupp had won the 10,000 meters in the Olympic trials in 27:25:33, a meet record, and he really played with people. He helped Dathan, his buddy, get it, and Matt Teagentap. Those are the 3 guys in the 10 team. But Galen has a confidence about him much different than he was 4 years ago. Perhaps it's with a great training partner, Mo Farah. They're both doing well. They both feed off each other with the coaching of Alberto Salazar and their team, but they're doing all the right things. And Galen's relaxed. When he's on the track, he's a warrior. And that's what that 5,000 meter was about. You had Galen Rupp, the 10,000 guy, who no one would have thought could go by Bernard Lagat. Bernard Lagat is the Zen master of kicking the closer you get to the finish line and there's not a winner, that guy's going to win.
And really, when you're watching a race with Bernard in it, what you're looking for is when he's going to go.
Oh, it's true. He runs beautifully. The man's 37 years old. I want to see him run a 10. Then you got Lopez Lomong, who's moved up to the 5,000. At the Peyton Jordan, Lopez was told by an official he had 1 lap to go, and he dropped a 53.6. He finishes, and they said, no, you got another lap, and he jogged that in 66 and ran 13.11. I was picking him to win this thing. I thought he could get by everybody. Lopez was in there, but when it came down to the final lap, Bernard took off, Galen right behind him, Lopez right there. Lopez had probably about 5 meters back. He was making the team. I thought maybe Andy Bumalaw would do it, but it was Lagat and Rupp. And Lagat made his move with about 200 to go, and I thought that was it. Rupp came alongside him with 80, and they really fought down to the final 30 meters when Rupp went by and won the 5,000. And here's the wonderful irony. Last lap in 52.54, and as Galen went across the line, you saw him whip that arm out in a yay. That was his 15th race with Bernard, the first time he had won the race. 13:22.67. Not really fast, but consider this. It broke the record of the late Steve Prefontaine for the Olympic trials.
At this track.
At this track and at the trials from way back in 1972, before our friend Galen was born. In the press conference, Galen paid tribute to Bernard. He said, look, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to beat Bernard. It was pretty exciting. Bernard talked about how great Galen ran and said he's going to do really well, and this is portents for good things in the future. I thought Galen would be our 2016 guy. I'm telling you right now, he is in the hunt for the medals. Not top 6, top 3, top 4 in the 10 and in the 5. You just don't know how the 5 is going to turn out. And he's going to be duking it out with his training partner, Mo Farah. You'll see Lagat, who said, and you need to listen to this, he said he learned some lessons from the race, so you know he'll take the next month with Coach Lee, and they'll figure out what they're going to do. But it was a great race. Early on, Mo Troffa led, trying to get people under the A standard of 13:20. It was not to be. Lagat and the guys stayed back there. It came down to that last kilometer, and wow, it was a race to see. Galen Rupp is no longer the kid we used to see at the University of Oregon. He's a seasoned distance warrior, and that's what it's about. You put it all on the line in these races, and as he said, you don't know what's going to come out of a 5 or a 10. It's like watching a 400 and seeing what people can do over the last 100 meters. But what an exciting race. The crowd went crazy. The media guys were following Galen for the evening. I was lucky enough later in the evening, we go to a little place off-site for dinner, and Galen was there with his family and friends, and Alberto was smiling and relaxing, and the whole crew. A job well done. Now 30 days to London, or less.
One word about the third place guy, Lopez Lomong. He ran in the 1500 in the Olympics in Beijing, and not only that, he has an amazing life story. He was really one of the lost boys of Sudan. He came over here, had a chance to go to college and learn English and learn the culture, and he carried the American flag during the Beijing Olympic opening ceremonies, and he's going back in the 5,000.
It's ironic right now in a land that's so partisan about politics that we've got so many real examples of what this country's about. The track team is extremely diverse with people from all over the world, from Mexico, from Kenya, from the Sudan, but we're a country of immigrants, and I'm really happy to see that on the team. Lopez is one of the most generous and gentle guys, and he's got a long way to go. This guy is going to be, well, he's going to be a world record holder. I just haven't figured out which event yet. He's tough, but he's a great guy. It was really fun seeing his two brothers here, who he saw, I think, for the first time 2 years ago. He hadn't seen his mother in 16 or 17 years, and he finally found her alive. It's just an amazing story. You got Lopez Lomong, you have Brisham Nelam here, you have several athletes, you have Ryan Bailey. That's why the world looks on this country as a country of gold coins, and that you can do anything in the U.S., and it's true. people have complained about the Olympic trial system for years, but the truth is I don't know any other method we could use with the plethora of athletes we have in the United States, especially now in the distances. And we have medal contenders in the 5 and the 10 on the men's side, in the 5 on the women's side, in the marathon on the women's side, and the marathon on the men's. Actually, you know what? Meb is a championship athlete in the 10. Ryan Hall puts it together. Ryan Hall could win it all. I mean, he runs like a Kenyan. You know, he's as crazy as a fox. So it's going to keep it interesting. And of course, I love Abdi. But we've got a great team we're putting together.
We have the heptathlon to go watch right now. So we're going to sign off on day 5 for the Jennie and Larry show.
Take care.